Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to another beginner's guide for Marvel Heroes Omega. Now with this guide we'll be looking at the highly requested Rogue. Now she's an extremely interesting character due to the fact that she can steal skills from heroes, bosses and also team ups. So for that reason on PC she has access to over 170 skills, and that's why it's took me so long to do this beginner's guide, because I've been figuring out how to do it, and I figured the only way to do it is to break it into parts. So in this particular part, which is part 1 of course, we'll be looking at her traits, we'll check out some of her costumes, we'll have a look at her signature and ultimate, and then what we'll do is we'll actually quickly showcase how the skill stealing side of things work and her power bank, and then we'll list through all the different 170 skills as well. But first up we'll have a look at the traits. We start off here then by looking at the offensive trait. This is Southern Brawler, so you gain 15% critical hit damage. Her primary attributes are durability and fighting. When we look at that show defensive trait, it's Kree Resilience, so she gains health on hit and she has a defense and deflect rating multiplier. She also has close quarters, so when you hit with a melee power you gain 8% damage reduction. Her resource is just standard spirit, however depending on the skills you select to use that can actually change, so do bear that in mind. But what we'll do next with that covered is we'll check out a few of her costumes. First costume we'll look at here, which is the default on PC, is a modern costume. This one's okay, but personally I feel it needs a visual update. We then have the awesome 90s X-Men costume. I'm a huge fan of this, I really do like this particular style. And next up it's the 1602 variant. This is really quite interesting. I don't know much about this particular story arc, but really unique costume this one. And then we have the Savage Land costume, which looks pretty awesome as well there. And finishing up the costumes we've got Age of X, which is another really great looking costume for. This one reminds me of the Karate Kid for some reason. I think it's due to the kind of skeleton Halloween look to it. But what we'll check out next will be her signature and ultimate. For the signature we have a pretty awesome looking skill called Recall Overload. So with this you're using skills stolen from Bishop, Storm, Magneto and also Gambit. Works as a dot while you're channeling it and it looks fantastic as well. It will slow the enemy by 60%. At the end you have a massive explosion, and on top of that you actually restore spirit as well while you're channeling it. So it looks great and it does a huge amount of damage as well. So it's a pretty fantastic signature, this one. Next up anyway, we'll check out her ultimate skill. The ultimate is actually quite similar to the signature in the respect that it's lots of different skills all patched together that are stolen from various different characters. So the ones these are stolen from, you've got Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Angel, Colossus and Psylocke. So if we look through them, you've got Swift Claws, Furious Assault, Righteous Frenzy, Colossal Roar, Erythro Butterflies, Righteous Fury, and then finally Raging Cajun. So lots of different skills here. Some of them are actually other heroes' signatures as well, so really quite interesting there, and it suits her perfectly, firing off all these hard hitting skills from other mutants. Now for the final section of the actual video, what we'll do now is we'll look at the mechanics of how their skills work and how you actually steal skills and the power bank as well. Now with this segment here, this is where I would typically show off some gameplay and break the skills into different categories. So for example, I would group together all the melee skills or group together all the range skills, but with Rogue having as many skills as she has, it simply doesn't work. So we're trying something a bit different here. Now before we do look at the stolen skills, we'll look at the skills she gets as standard. They come under the Marvelous Physique tree, and I'll very quickly show off the tooltip for them. We've got Kree Charge, which is a dash. We've then got Draining Punch, Crushing Blows, Aerial Onslaught, Extreme Drain, Vaulting Uppercut, Southern Belle, Gloves Off, and then finally Rubble Slam. Now, if you wanted, you could run all the skills on a build for it, but a bit boring and a bit of a waste, to be honest. Now, if we look at the Drain Strength tree, it's where things get interesting. You have the first skill, which is Drain Life. This is the one you use to actually steal powers, and as you can see from the tooltip, you can steal them from other heroes, bosses, and even team-ups as well. Now, we have 8 different skill slots below this. You've also got your signature at the bottom, but 8 different skill slots you can have active, and you could slot them into any of the bars. So if you wanted to get rid of your dash and your signature, you could use all 8 of these here. But if we scroll down here, we can see we've got Solar Strike, and the green writing tells us who this comes from. So this was stolen from Sunspot. Now, if I right click, brings up the skill bank, and this is where things get really pretty great. So if we scroll down, we can see all the different skills that are available. Absolute ton there. And also, if you don't have a skill, it shows a little padlock, but it tells you what the skill does, and it also shows you where you can get it from. So that's really good to help you plan out builds. But we'll scroll up, we'll have a quick look at some of the skills that I've got. So we've got Lavalanche. This was stolen from the Warden Slag, and he's in the Muspelheim raid. You then have Godly Valor, which is stolen from Thor. Blood and Thunder from Beta Ray Bill. Kunlun Styles from Iron Fist. And then finally Illusionary Projection, and that's stolen from Loki there. But if we move over to the Absorption Augments tree at the top, you've got your traits. You've got your offensive trait, you've got your defensive trait. You then can see that we've got 3 different lines for talents rather than the regular 5, but despite this, Rogue isn't at any kind of disadvantage at all due to all the skills she has. And then these 3 different icons here are actually for 3 different passives you can have. So I've got Iron Man, Beast, and currently Punisher. Right click, bring up the bank. You can see there's a ton of passives there as well, and I'll show some of them off. So we've got, for example, Osmium Skin from Colossus. We've got Precise Aim from Hawkeye, and then we've got Scientific Genius from Wizard there. So they really do allow you to get the exact build you want with so many options being available. But what we'll do now, again, something different to finish off the video. I've got some gameplay. While that gameplay is actually going on, we'll have all the different skills that will be listed, and they'll be scrolling through the screen, so you can see all 170 skills that are available there. So as always, I hope this video was useful. If there's any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll see you all again soon.